As It Were production presents.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to A Couple of Old Fashions with Becca and Joe. I'm Joe Lynch.
I'm Becca Howard.
And happy I almost said Thanksgiving. Happy post-holidays.
Happy Boxing Day.
Yeah, Boxing Day. Oh,
We
that's right.
We actually have a name for the 26th in England, and it is Boxing Day. I think it had something to do with, like, recycling.
There's not, like, put up your dukes
No, it's like presents are come in boxes, and then you want to recycle the boxes, so they would all, like, put them out together.
Boxing.
Yeah, it was more like, okay, I could be completely wrong.
Someone on here is like, you're so wrong.
I probably am.
That in-between stage, in between Christmas and New Year's.
It's actually one of my favorite times. People really hate it, but I love, like, the weird purgatory.
I was gonna say it's very holiday purgatory.
Yeah, because you're just like in a fugue state of turkey.
You've gotten over the presents.
Sugar, booze.
You're pissed that your parents didn't get you what you wanted.
Mom, if you're watching, you got me all that I wanted, which was a ticket home to see you. So. And this idiot.
And this guy, yes.
So,
we're currently in France right now.
That's true. We're recording right before we leave.
Yes.
Which is why I'm glad I'm getting the seasonal flu out of the way with now. But
Yes. So if you've noticed, Becca's a little under the weather.
I do apologize to anyone who enjoy my normal
Can-do spirit.
bouncy, buoyant Becca-ness.
We digress because this is A Couple of Old Fashions, the show for movie lovers by movie lovers, where each week, including this week, even though we're on a holiday, so to speak, we come up with a theme. Sometimes someone else comes up with the theme, but we'll talk about that later. We come up with a movie that pertains to that theme. We discuss it here, talk about the order, go to the couch, watch said movies, come back, discuss them, and see if we have created another date night double feature. This week was a title or a theme that was made up by one of our listeners or viewers, Brian Clancy. I'm going to put his name right there. So thank you, Brian Clancy, for this week's theme. Down, but not out. It would be great if Brian swooped in and said it. We'll reach out to you for a little gift for services rendered.
And
also,
Christmas.
And Christmas as well. A little gift that we got from one of our very good friends and also a participant on the show in terms of listening and watching.
Part of our community.
Gina
Yay.
gave us this decanter that says A Couple of Old Fashions. You don't need the focus to kind of get that there. But
that is how we decanted our drinks today.
Yes.
Yes.
Which
Mother
we're not
Nature's
choosing it.
painkiller.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the great things about the show, at least for us, is the ability to kind of stretch our thematic acumen, if you will, and try to come up with films that pertain to the themes that might be a little left of center.
I don't know that I try to be left of center. I just am.
Weirdly enough, this one immediately came to mind, and I got really excited about it. So my choice for this episode, for Down But Not Out, is the Irwin Kershner sequel to Star Wars A New Hope,
fun.
The Empire Strikes Back. Which came out in 1980, which was a formidable film for many of us Gen Xers and movie geeks, and obviously to generations to come.
So you're doing
Yes.
emotionally speaking, this is that lowest ebb,
Yeah,
but
well,
they're
well,
not out for the count.
yeah,
That's how
well,
you interpreted the theme.
This is the first movie that made me feel like, holy crap, the bad guys can win.
I picked a lesbian French film called The Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
As opposed to last week's period lesbian film, 8 Women.
I do like French lesbians. I thought of a lot of things for Down But Not Out. I almost picked Das Boot because they go real low down
That's
into the
another long
water.
one, too.
I went more, I guess, the down as in these two women go down on each other. A little dirty, but they're not. They're in the closet, so they're not out.
Oh, wow.
So they're down, but they're not out. It's
I
sad.
like this. I have not seen the movie.
Okay.
This is one that
I was
has
wondering
because it came out in 2019. Right?
Yeah, and it was the last Celine Sciamma movie I saw in the theater. I'm a big fan of her work. I love Tomboy.
I've seen Tomboy.
This is the beauty of being married. You get lots of lesbians.
And we get to watch a Jedi movie, and it's kind of on the clock. So
I mean,
this
it's
is a good thing.
What is a lightsaber if not a penis? So all about the gay stuff. I would rather, I think, watch Portrait first myself, only because I'm on a lot of Advil.
I like that. I like that idea.
I'm being influenced by my current, I need to ride this Advil wave for as long as I have it going on. So I would rather start with Portrait and then like have the natural cortisol rise of a
big, boisterous, action-based sci-fi extravaganza.
Also, like, I feel like Portrait will set us up for thinking about Star Wars in a slightly more deep.
Considering that Empire is considered the most adult out of all of them, I would say, critical consensus and fan consensus as well. I think this is a good pairing. This is a nice one. It's not like we're going for the Ewoks. There's no Ewoks.
I love the Ewoks.
Only furry bushes in this one is probably in the armpits of the subjects in your film. But before we start, we got to give a shout out to our sponsor this week, DIABOLIKDVD.com, for all of your physical media needs.
Oh, my brain just died.
A little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Don't let your brain die.
Yeah.
To the couch. Don't die.
And now it's A Couple of Old Fashions with Becca and Joe. This week's episode, Down, but Not Out.
And we are back. All right. Well, that was a double feature.
It's always a bit funny when we interpret the themes so differently.
What's beautiful about your movie, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, it's so elegant and so beautiful to look at.
I always related to Sciamma's early films because they're about sort of discovering yourself and your identity. And this film, the women are older. Like, they're much more assured, especially the main character, Marianne, played by Naomi Marlon. She is
so good.
A fully formed person.
Je suis peintre. Elle a épuisé déjà un peintre avant vous. Regardez-moi. J'ai un nouveau sentiment. Vous me reprochez la suite. Mon mariage.
So for me, rewatching it now as more of a fully formed woman, I felt closer to these women.
It's funny because both movies we watched at different times in our lives and might have perceived them differently. Like, we'll get to Empire in a second, but like, I saw that movie when I was 5.
Same, yeah.
And
on my VHS.
In the movies can touch people differently at different times in their lives. And the movies don't change, we change.
Joe was saying as we were watching it that it felt very much like it was a living portrait even as it was playing.
That is the thing that I love the most about this movie, is that we get to watch art evolve and become.
Let's do the spoilers now because there will be spoilers.
All right, editor.
Spoiler alert.
It's funny because you even see the above the line creator being projected on a drawing pad.
Like art.
Well, like art, but like as a woman, a hand, you see a female hands drawing the contours of a female body. So you're already being invited to kind of examine that relationship between art and artist. And then what makes it even more nuanced is you find out the subject that they're painting is Marianne, Naomi Merlon. She's the teacher of the class. So she is not just inviting them to draw her, but she's describing the better techniques to use to capture her form as she is posing for them. So it's already being commented on.
The teacher is the one who's instructing the students to gaze at the model, not the model being the teacher at the same time. So it was interesting to see that because I didn't expect that. And then she started talking to the students. I'm like, why is the model talking to the students?
And it's set at a time, which I think it is an incredibly beautiful way to use the period to inform that all-female sense of power and dynamic of sisterhood, because it's being told at a time when the segregation between men and women, especially in the professional world. A student of hers is asking about a painting she made, Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Great reveal.
Great, yeah, very
amazing push in.
Yes. It's a very organic but simple effect to just kind of take us quickly back in time.
How long was the time period between?
They don't specify.
It's not clear.
I would say it's probably a period of about 10 years, something like
Makes
that.
sense.
Marianne, it transpires, was an artist who was commissioned to create a portrait of this young countess's daughter. Eloise. She's on like a boat trip to go to the estate to paint this portrait.
Yeah.
And her easel of some of her art equipment falls in the water and she jumps in after it, risking her own life to save it.
Her work-life balance is not balanced.
Which becomes an important component, especially I think when your career is vocational, as hers is in the film. I love how we see her dry her naked body in front of the fire at the same time as she's drying. It's this beautiful shot, and she's also like drying all of her pages at the same time, all of her artist tools.
Just everything in that shot, and almost every other shot, has a symmetry to it that feels like it took years to compose.
But I just love how within that sequence, nudity and the female body is introduced as just part of the language of the film very organically. Like she has to dry herself and it's not sexualized. It's just a very normal, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Just her being naked suddenly. It's not like
And she's just chilling out.
Yeah, she's just smoking her pipe.
There was, I wouldn't say a sexual chemistry, but there was a chemistry between Sophie and
Marianne.
Yes, that I really enjoyed. Like, if the movie veered off on just them hanging out, and not even in a romantic way, I would have really enjoyed that.
You don't need to have women having sex to enjoy women hanging out.
I knew where this was. Look, you said
they didn't
down,
even
but
have
not
sex, and I was like, I could watch a movie
there wasn't
where
any
women
hardcore banging in this movie, so I'm a little disappointed.
Neither was there in Star Wars.
That we know of.
Yeah, that's how it is in their family. But we'll get to that later. Yeah. The next scene is the one of Marianne sort of first meeting the Countess.
Oh, Valeria Golino. Oh,
such a great actress.
I had such a crush on her.
And she's not depicted as this like cruel, evil mother, but
she could have come off as the evil like stepmother from like a Disney movie.
But she does have this authoritative presence.
Well, she wants what she's, what another artist couldn't do.
Yeah, Sophie reveals that there was a different. She asks her, "Are you gonna be able to paint Eloise?" And the reason she asks is because there was a male artist who previously had tried to paint her and hadn't been able to.
That it was a dude before.
Yeah, and the way they reveal, she's like, "Oh, where's the painting? I want to see why he wasn't able to do it." And I love how they reveal. She goes up to it, there's a tarp over the painting. When she takes the tarp off, it cuts to her face. So the reveal is her reaction. She gasped because the facial part of the painting has been completely disfigured.
So
all
creepy.
you see is just a woman in a green dress. They use that at the cut point to
when Sophie's
smash cut
walking it,
close up on a mannequin, a headless mannequin. And I love the use of isolated close-ups to tell the story because it kind of gives an idea already of the kind of the small fragmented moments, the ineffable moments that we take as these isolated sources of memory of how we construct our impressions of people. You never start, I feel like, a film or a painting being like, this is the big picture. You find the small ways into scenes and into character.
It's finding the details to open things up and peel curtains back or pull back layers and stuff. It's a discipline that, like, as a filmmaker, we have a different way of getting to that. Whereas for a painter, it's the way that someone puts their hand on top of each other, or the eye line,
but
or
I think
smile.
Celine has that language in how she constructs her film.
This movie feels like the cinematic equivalent of watching paint dry, and I mean that as high praise.
When Marianne first finally meets the Countess is staring at her portrait that was made of her when she was a young woman about to be married. And it's a great way that she first meets her with her back to her. That happens a lot in this film. Like, we first meet women with their back to the camera. And she's describing how that portrait was at the castle waiting for her already when she arrived. It's a version of us that is actually like separated from ourselves. It's almost like a friend.
It's that idea that someone has their like soul stolen.
It's the Countess who reveals that the reason the previous artist wasn't able to paint that portrait of Eloise was because she wouldn't pose for him. That's why he was never able to capture her face. And that's, I think, where you're getting that idea of souls being stolen, or because this portrait is being sent to her husband, so that her arranged marriage, so that he will approve of her beauty to be married to.
So she's got to look banging.
The confines of a portraiture, the square like framing of a portrait, is akin to the confines of a marriage, the prison of marriage, especially for women in this age, where it was both a necessity for business transactions and a horrible confinement. So the Countess's plan is actually to pretend to Eloise that Marianne is like a companion.
Like a day walker or something
Yeah,
like that.
because...
Like a walking buddy.
because Eloise has been confined to her quarters so that she won't try to kill herself the same way her sister did.
So the reason why that was brought up was that she tried it before?
No, her big sister.
That's
I don't
what
think
it was.
she...
She never did.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
You were paying real close attention.
The subtitles, man. Sometimes the subtitles, like it takes your interpretation right now for me to go, oh, it was a male artist. Yeah.
Reading, not your strong suit.
Not my favorite. No. If there was an
Apparently.
audiobook version of it, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
So.
The actual reason Marianne is there is to subterfugely, words are really hard when you're on Advil, take impressions of her in her mind's eye while they're walking together to paint her from memory rather than from life, and to create this portrait in secret, so to speak. And so that's how their dynamic is first kind of all introduced, all before we even meet Eloise. And then when we finally meet her, it's during this walk. Again, her back is to the camera, back is to Marianne.
A lot of back shots. A lot of neck shots and back shots.
Well, because it's all about how we make impressions, the impressions that we make on other people and the impressions that we craft of them in our own mind. And she finally turns back to her, and it's right after she made like a running
for the cliff.
Leap for the cliff. She's just like, I've always wanted to do that. And we're like, die? We don't know for a second.
There's a lot of build up to this character that is more of a portrait or a caricature than it is the actual person. So the second she turns around, I think both of us, well, I mean, you'd seen it before. I didn't see it before, but I went, oh, like,
yes. And
it's
she
very
says
striking.
what she actually meant was running. Like courir, she always wanted to run. And we realize that she's not her sister. She's not like living under that shadow. She actually wants to feel free in her life. She doesn't want to find escape through death the same way her sister did. There's a beautiful like persona style shot of the two of them with their faces in profile to
whenever
one another.
She turns, and then she looks back
because she's trying to sneak glances at her profile for her portrait.
Capture little bits.
The look she gives her, where she's like glaring almost. She's almost glaring at the audience, at the camera. Like she's...
Well, the way that the camera's placed.
Yes.
It makes... Anytime she looked over, it made us like kind of go, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's in the dark, we feel like empowered to just kind of stare for all that our eyes are worth. And it's reminding us that it is kind of taking something. And I love that there's this like confusion between desire and artistic impression, because like, you know, for all Eloise knows, Marianne keeps staring at her because she's like likes her. We're coloring Eloise in almost at the same time that Marianne is.
Yeah, we're filling in the detail.
It makes it feel like it must almost be like impossible not to fall in love with your subject.
Whenever you hear about like filmmaking, for example, like directors falling in love with their actors or actresses because you are staring at them and you have to be the personification of what the audience is. And in the end, what that camera has to capture is hopefully the best version of that.
Exactly.
person.
She needs to get to know her. Like that's part of what the film is about. Like you have to capture... You can't just leave it as like this empty vessel.
That's why the guy couldn't do it.
Yeah, because you need to have something... And I don't think the guy ever could, because you needed to know an intimacy
it was
about
telling
her
that he could only get from the neck down.
Marianne is confiding in Sophie again and saying that, you know, she's struggling because she can't ever get Eloise to laugh. And Sophie says, well, have you tried to be funny? And it's a great like moment of just kind of realizing that you are, as the artist and the muse, your relationship is a crucial part of the art that is being created. It's not a distance. It's a two-sided mirror.
No matter what the medium is, whether it's film or painting or music, whatever that is, there is still a relationship between the artist and the people that are capturing that art.
Yeah, well, Marianne says to her at one point, even and later in the movie, she's like, I would hate to be you. And she says, why? Like, well, because I would hate to be watched for so long. And then Eloise says to her, who do you think I'm watching?
Yeah.
While you're watching me.
That that hit me like a ton of bricks.
Because you're like, oh. We see Marianne pose in the green dress herself, and she tries to do like a self-portrait of her own body in the green dress. Like
They've done that before, where it's another model, and then
we're all naked under our clothes, but the rest is drag, as RuPaul says, and we're all just dragging up every day in our outfits and trying to, blend in with the crowd. And I think that's kind of what that speaks to in a way. Like she can just get the unimportant parts of the picture done by just doing a self-portrait of herself, but then also again blurs the line between like the artist and the muse, because she's starting to use her own body as part of that.
There was another line that Valeria Golino says that I'm sitting there going, that makes so much sense. Why hasn't someone said that to me before? It's it takes two to be funny.
And she said, oh, thank you. It's the first time I laughed in years. And Marianne said, that was you were laughing at your own joke. I didn't say anything.
It's someone else being able to go, that is funny, or you're getting a reaction from that person. There are plenty of stand-ups right down the street on Hollywood Boulevard who think they're hilarious, who don't get a laugh.
You need to have that like other energy in the room to react off of in order to even find yourself in the frame of mind to make a joke.
Yep.
That infectiousness of being in company is so important to the story, that the message that she's kind of like getting across in these kind of small intimate little moments, and like the intense loneliness of being a woman.
So repressed, as repressed as their corsets are tight.
A crucial moment where they first go to the beach together
with the masks.
Yes.
Oh, so cool.
It's so
Looks
beautiful.
right out of Dune in a way. Throughout the course of the film, we're watching as the artist is creating either the painting or various versions of the painting, sometimes screwing things up. And by getting all those little details, filling in all the blanks, we're starting to not just learn a little bit about the subject, but also the artist.
Art is a living, breathing thing. And if it isn't alive in that way, if that's not a part of what they're capturing, then it's not good art.
A painting, you could be happy one day, sad the next day. These paintings don't take like an afternoon. They are layered experiences.
Experiencing the person in a whole and capturing all of that, like thinking about them and your relationship to them as you craft it.
She talks about that, like when you're dealing with like the hand placement and everything. But when we get to the face, that becomes crucial.
Yes. Well, she's like finally gets Eloise to laugh.
What a triumph in that moment too.
Marianne plays her a little something.
Yeah.
And Eloise, that's the first time we see her smile, when she watches Marianne play this song. That's the first time she breaks through
something later
her
that happens.
Defiant face. Exactly. And she says, is it happy? And Marianne says, well, it's not happy, but it's alive. And that, again, speaks to the idea of like art and real art, beautiful art, being capturing like a living, ineffable, ephemeral spirit.
Is all of the music in the film, because music does play a crucial role in it, but primarily the movie is
diegetic.
So it's all diegetic.
I don't think there's a soundtrack.
There's none. Like, so whenever the sound like becomes swelled with music,
they're the source.
It's coming from inside the movie.
And I love how the film is structured too, because when Marianne finally completes the portrait, it's only at the 1 hour mark and it's a 2 hour film. So you're like, what the heck? She finished.
I was like, that's it?
Yeah,
like, we're
it's
done?
so weird. And you're like, what happened to the lesbian part?
That's what I was saying the whole time.
Yeah, well, we do see Eloise get wet because she goes for her swim finally.
Yep.
Marianne says like, well, you weren't really swimming, you were floating.
Same difference.
I mean,
still in the water.
What's interesting is that both methods lead to survival, just one is more active and one is more passive.
True.
And Marianne is a more actively seeking survival in the way that she's able to pursue a professional engagement and live a life that's somewhat more independent, whereas Eloise's survival depends on her marrying this man. So it's a more passive version of it. She's floating into this existence because there's nothing she can really do about it. But both lead to survival in a way. Floating, not swimming, still surviving. Eloise says if she stays, I'll pose for her. She can draw me from life now, not from her memory. Because the gambit's up at this point. She knows that Marianne has been sent here to paint her, not just as a companion.
And you're right. These are all things that like are usually in this typical kind of 3-act structure. Someone's not being who they're supposed to be. it's all revealed in like the midway through the third act.
Because once the Countess's like authoritarian matriarchal presence, it's literally just Sophie, Marianne, and Eloise. And like you're like, yeah, they become friends. They just start, all of the hierarchical cold structures of the house are forgotten. They're just three young women living
the best
together.
Shot in the movie is the one where it's the master shot of the three women in the kitchen.
I know.
And they're just pouring wine,
I know,
cutting
cutting.
bread.
Oh, I
They're
almost
not-
started crying.
They're not even really talking. They're just going about their day with, you're right, absolutely no class structure involved. It's three women about to enjoy a meal together.
There's a beautiful Jean Genet quote that said they spent their time doing nothing. They let intimacy fuse them.
Yeah. And that's the crux of really where you fall in love with, I would say all three women, but clearly the main couple.
Marianne and Sophie have both had relationships, obviously out of wedlock. Isn't like, I don't know, in a lot of movies from this era, it's very shame.
Yeah.
Whereas this is very like, oh yeah, well, there's consequences though, so gotta deal with it. And that's how it's through the consequences, like discussing the abortion, that Eloise is able to first even bring up the subject of lovemaking with Marianne, like it's through like such a female director writer version of it, like, oh, we'll start talking about sex through abortion.
There's a moment when she starts to draw her face and she makes a little mess and then just does this, and that's like the first time that I went, that's like the first time that she touched her face.
When Marianne and Eloise are discussing lovemaking, Eloise says like, well, what's it like? Like, I've never had sex. And it happens right after the music scene.
Yeah.
And Marianne says like, well, it'd be easier just to show you. And so when Eloise asked her about the lovemaking, I was like, would it be easier just to show her?
Yeah. Let's get this on.
Before they have sex, they go to that fireside. Like all those women hanging out by the fire. And I love that there's this sense of delay almost. I mean, it's like how, you know, women have to be so calculated, especially maybe in this time, not just women, men and women, when you're having the dance of like courtship, you're so nervous because you're trying to predict what someone's going to do as you're flirting, as you're making advances. Am I projecting this?
There might be a moment where we're naked here, so we got to suss each other out.
There's a sense of delay.
Yeah.
And probably especially if you're gay, because of all the extra drama,
the gay
ramifications.
Delay is crazy.
Well, it's just, you know, you're even more like, are you gay too? Like, cause
unless it's very explicitly laid out.
I think that's why people like alcohol so much when they go on first dates, because it's just like helps to quieten the
courage.
There's that delayed second where the fire starts to spread from her dress
There's
before
so
she
many
gets
layers
put
on
out.
that,
Yeah, it's such a charge
because they're staring at each other.
Well, and that's right before they do have sex, so it's like this incredibly alive, visceral moment.
All these other women are on the beach and they all start to harmonize. Such a wonderful
as soon as
scene.
More women join in, it's like it gives the song strength and power.
Yeah, it was the perfect foreplay for that scene coming up.
And she goes up, Marianne goes up the stairs and she sees what you think is a vision, but it's actually what transpires to the nightmarish premonition of Eloise in the doorway of a closet, because she can never come out of the closet. And then she goes to her room and finds Eloise waiting for her. And I love...
her neck exposed.
Yeah, we all know what that means.
There's a moment when they are embracing each other and they are like literally like their necks are entwined. And when they separate, it's like a time lapse of a blossom opening up.
For a movie about voyeurism to climax, as it were, with a sex scene and this love relationship, we're just a privileged part of the beauty of two people falling in love. And it's not
it
salacious.
Never feels sleazy or explicit. It feels right.
Sex and sexuality and identity and art and artist and muse, that codependency is drawn, so to speak, so beautifully. And I think that's why you need that slow pace.
Courtship and the artistry.
It's like a
is
flower
what
in
builds it
bloom,
up.
like you were
Exactly.
saying. Like a flower spends so much time in trying to bloom, and then when it blooms and it's in full flower, that's like a really short time before it starts to rot again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way the film's structured, is like that trajectory of a flower. And what's interesting is that the abortion scene happens right after the lovemaking scene.
One
and
of the
it's
hardest scenes I
so-
have ever seen in a movie ever.
as her pregnancy is being terminated, the midwife's baby is literally grabbing her hand. And it's like,
I've never seen anything like that before.
and
it fucked me up.
yeah, and Marianne even turns like she can't watch it, and it's like, you want to do the same. Eloise turns her back, and says you
"Look."
have to watch.
Yeah.
Eloise
And then
makes
they
them recreate it when they're back at the place to draw it, because they need to. It needs to be seen. It's something that was kept like, and it's still to this day something like women don't talk about things. We don't
do you
talk
think that
about.
Eloise was doing that to make Marianne confront that more viscerally?
It's not Marianne, I don't think. I think it's all three of them. They just felt like this.
To cope with it.
Yeah, they felt like a responsibility almost, in the way that like art, creating it and experiencing it makes you feel less alone. Even just in creating it, the three of them, it's making Sophie feel like she's less alone in that moment. Like they're all women together.
Yeah.
They're all suffering
That they're
together.
in it together.
And it's a part of that, like being seen is a part of that like community, that ability to kind of be one, to unite in song in the way that those other women did. And it's a way to take trauma like that and make it into something that isn't guilty or disgusting or something that we should hide our heads away from. It's something that we should put on a wall and say like, no, this happens, and we have to just acknowledge it and be kind to ourselves and to each other and be allowed to just live.
A lot of times in movies like this that are dealing with, forbidden love, whether it's because of gender repression or
tragedy.
Yeah.
Tragic love stories are so addictive. Like we love
but they're
them.
set up way earlier on, whereas I didn't even think about like, oh no, they shouldn't be doing that until the Countess is about to come home.
They create their own little world. When the Countess is gone,
In their bubble.
bubbled, and it's when she comes back and their bubble is birthed that's when the tragedy comes into play. So sad, because the painting isn't for her, it's for the husband to be.
Yeah.
And
Especially
even
the way when she does those last little strokes on the ear and the neck, and she goes, I think it's finished?
Yeah, it's finished.
And it's something bittersweet, because
Look at
you
the
want to see it
relationships
and look at
over.
it and go, what a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why you're going to be pulled away from me.
When she gets to the bottom of this dark stairwell, she hears Eloise behind her saying, "Turn around." And she turns. It's so sad, because she turns around, and that's where the premonition of her in the closet comes to full circle. Like that was what the memory was of Eloise standing on this dark stairwell in her wedding dress, and when Marianne closes the door, closes the chapter, closes the book on her,
And it goes to black.
dark. I think the reason why we're drawn to tragic love stories is because you don't have the ups and downs, in as much as that's also a beautiful part of life and a beautiful part of evolving relationships. Tragic love affairs end at their peak of bloom.
Yeah.
For it to end, the story to end there, it's tragic, but it's also like something so beautifully
It's
encased
captured
in amber, almost like a
Yeah.
beautiful painting.
Yeah.
The director, Céline Sciamma, and Adele, the actress who plays Eloise, were in a long-term relationship for 10 years before, and broke up just before making this movie.
Wait, what?
I know. So the meta storyline of artist, muse, that entire dance, literally that's what they were going through.
Holy crap.
I know.
I need to immediately watch the movie now.
But-
with
and
that.
all of the-
I'm
'cause
so glad you didn't tell me that
I
when we
know.
watched.
It's not about reconnecting and living our past lives. It's about keeping and cherishing, not being upset that something ended, but being happy that it happened, and cherishing that, because even though the pain of it is visceral and overwhelming, it is something that we all once at some point in our lives will experience, and it's what makes us feel alive.
This was a much much more eloquent way
Well,
of
because
presenting it.
we're all closeted to a certain degree, even just going out. And art is what takes down those defenses, which is kind of what this is in a way. We're vulnerabilizing ourselves. I make up a lot of words while I'm sick.
Yeah. Well, guess what? We're going to be making up a lot of words right after this when we watch The Empire Strikes Back. So, did you not get what you really wanted for Christmas?
Why do you always have to be such a Grinch about this?
It's not that. It's just sometimes people have like a long wish list and some things don't get picked, or
I know,
the
but
wrong thing gets picked, or you get the 14th copy of Joe Bob's The Last Drive-In, which I've gotten many. Get out of here. Don't throw that. That's precious gold there. But okay, you didn't get what you needed. We've got a solution for you, and that solution is DIABOLIK-DVD.com.
Or the happier way to experience that introduction is just Christmas may be over, but gift giving, the spirit of Christmas, never ends.
Or you got a shitty gift and you want to get something for yourself that makes you feel better. DIABOLIK-DVD.com has you covered.
That's because it is the home of all horror, weird, and cult cinema and has been for the last 20 years.
And Diabolik offers a one-stop shopping solution for all of your favorite labels like Cauldron Films, Arrow, Mondo Macabro, Synapse, Blue Underground, and many more from around the world.
According to our theme this week,
yes,
down but not out, I decided to pick James Cameron's Abyss.
Oh, dude!
Because that's about going as far down as the human soul can traverse in the depths of both your soul and water. It is available on 4K UHD. It might be the special edition is out of stock. I always pick the ones where the special editions have been sold out.
Well, you know what? That's just a testament to the demand that DIABOLIK-DVD.com brings.
I know. You really have to be
you guys are
quick on the trigger
fans for you to make sure that the Abyss sells out.
And what was your pick for Down But Not Out?
So, as you probably thought when you heard Down But Not Out, oh, they're going to pick a boxing movie, right? So I went with Guy Ritchie's follow-up to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, the much bigger, much bawdier, much brawlier Snatch, which has an all-star cast: Brad Pitt, Dennis Farina, Benicio del Toro,
What's
Jason
the
Fleming.
format it's available in?
It is available in 4K, Blu-ray. There's like a combo, which is fantastic. Now,
nice. That's sexy.
I've seen previous transfers of his movies where you can tell, like, there's famous part where Brad Pitt gets punched, right? And he like goes into slow-mo and then like metaphorically dives into like the ocean. When I've seen earlier versions, it gets grainier when the speed ramps happen. Not anymore. Not with this 4K version. They've cleaned it up beautifully. And to thwart those holiday blues, we have a promo code. You can use it one more time this week. That is ACOF1225 to get 10% off $100 or more. Taxes and restrictions apply, but what a great way to get a whole bunch of movies, including The Abyss, including Snatch, to make sure that your holidays and your new year starts off right with a little extra money in your pocket. So whether you're looking for that definitive version of Barry Lyndon, knowing there's two, there's the new Warner Brothers version and the Criterion version that's come out, or you're just trying to upgrade your old DVD of Black Christmas to glorious 4K, DIABOLIK-DVD is the owner-operated small business choice you have been waiting for.
Because unlike it says in Violent Night, Christmas never dies tonight, and you can keep the spirit of gift giving all year round. That's at DIABOLIK-DVD.com, DIABOLIK-DVD.com, or you can visit its sister website, cauldronfilms.com. That's Cauldron Films with a hyphen in the middle. So yeah, just keep on filling that stocking because it just ain't ever gonna end, baby.
So, Happy New Year, and back to the show.
And now, on with the show.
Okay, we are back, literally, with The Empire Strikes Back.
The new chapter in the continuing Star Wars saga, The Empire Strikes Back. Now, in our galaxy, The Empire Strikes Back.
When the sequel came out, we didn't know that there was going to be a third movie. At least I didn't.
Well, they do hint pretty heavily at the end of the film that there's more to the story.
Hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No, I
here.
just, because I remember you telling me that right before we started watching it, and I was like, oh, good. Like, so for the purposes of this discussion, Down But Not Out, we'll view it as a standalone. They do.
That's good.
But which I agree, but it is hard to, because by the end of the film, they do preface the next chapter pretty heavily.
Yes, but when this movie came out in 1980, this was 5 years removed from the certain section.
So you didn't know when it was going to happen.
I had no clue.
That is harsh. I had it on VHS.
That's the thing.
So
You
this
got to watch
ended, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
next
and you got to go right into it. I had to. We all had to wait 3 years for Revenge of the Jedi to be announced. I was so excited for Return of the Jedi because of what happened in Empire, because they left us in this
such a cliffhanger.
Because they left us on a downer, and that's the reason why I picked it, but I'll get into that more. Marina took me to go see Return of the Jedi. I grabbed my ticket and ran into the theater.
The Lord of the Rings movies when I was a little kid. I just remember the same being really small and everyone else being really tall, and like using my smallness to run.
Just weave in. That's exactly what I did.
And
I
grab
wove
a
in
seat.
Because I needed to see the good guys win. This was the first time that I had experienced the bad guys having the upper hand right from the jump. Like, no matter what, from the probe hitting Hoth in the beginning, down but not out, to Luke getting kicked off
by the abominable snowman,
thrown off. Like, there's at least 7 times where he is literally downed. Yes. Throughout the course of this movie.
He's hanging upside down in that dude's snow cave.
Lucas was not the main screenwriter on the film. Lawrence Kasdan, one who is
pretty good.
Incredible
filmmaker.
Writer, incredible director. I think he was the right guy for the job. Erwin Kershner, here's this guy that was not George Lucas who came in.
Well, George Lucas famously said he hated directing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he loved all the other parts.
He liked being like the showrunner.
Yes.
And Erwin Kershner and Richard Marquand and all the other directors after that were basically the directors the same way a showrunner kind of ran the TV show. But there is something sinister about this movie from the jump where, as a little kid, we just think everything gets rebooted, and just like a Saturday morning cartoon where it goes back to status quo. There's a new opposition. There's new bad guys involved. There's a little bit of drama and oppression where they're in. And then at the end, ultimately, the good guys save the day. What we weren't prepared for as kids was adult feelings and adult situations.
How down things could get without necessarily being out.
I still have that Ratatouille moment. It goes back to that theater when I was 4.
But when Han says, I know, the famous part at the end of the film. And I was like 5-year-old. I was like,
I don't know what's hot.
I thought he was being rude as a 5-year-old.
Wow, has the context changed?
He didn't say I love you back. What a dick.
This is like, now things are making sense.
As a 5-year-old, I didn't get that was really sexy. The first time we see them argue with each other, by the way, is so funny. It's basically like a high
is it
school.
The one where they're in Hoth
the corridor
where there's so
many people
backlit and people are just walking
and they're
back
just
and forth,
arguing like they're the only 2 people.
I didn't realize for the longest time that Carrie Fisher is like 5'1" and Harrison Ford is 6 feet.
Yeah.
So there's moments in the movie where it's like, okay, obviously there's a height difference, but then there's others like that low angle shot where if she wasn't on 2 apple boxes, she'd be at the bottom of the frame.
It's a smart thing visually as well to kind of...
You want to keep them at
the power dynamic, especially when it's like a lover's spat.
But I do think that this was a very valuable lesson for an entire generation because we were hopped up on... This was at the advent of the summer blockbuster. This is the movie that all of his buddies, like De Palma and Scorsese, made fun of him for making because it was like that frilly popcorn movie.
I think the prequels exemplify the fact that these kinds of movies may look like popcorn films, but they're actually really difficult to make, to have kid films with adult themes. And it's wonderful to see people that you've only experienced beyond the kind of the active side, like they are in the first film, beyond the defensive. And they really are. They're running away from the Empire. The Empire keeps this 1 step forward, 2 steps back constantly. And they keep having to celebrate small wins, like destroying one of those big
AT-ATs.
AT-ATs. ADATs.
No, don't you dare say AT-ATs.
AT-ATs.
No, Adam Green somewhere his head is exploding.
So much coordination goes into just taking one of them down. I think it teaches kids to take those small wins and take them, to heart, but to know you have to keep going forward.
But there's
and
always a failure that comes right
a lot of
after
people
it.
die in that moment.
A lot of people die, and every time an AT-AT shows up or gets downed, you cut to a bunch of rebel soldiers running along the snow, and they're all starting to get shot. And I remember coming home and not wanting to play with my action figures because I was so depressed.
You betrayed me.
I didn't know how to recreate the swashbuckling moments that I enjoyed recreating from the first movie, because now adult themes were being brought in.
It reminded me a lot of being 20 and just sort of plowing ahead with the craziness of your life and just sort of not really thinking about how big of the stakes you're dealing with, and how you're constantly just kind of
your hubris takes you to a point where you almost put yourself in danger.
But it's also allegorically, I guess, we're not all having to fight the dark side of the force or whatever, but in our own way, we all are. And I love that it teaches you as well about the importance of having a sense of humor, even at the most fucked up and difficult of times, because that's one of the beauties about these original 3 films, is that there's such a wonderful sense of humor.
They have a breezy sense of humor.
And some of the best jokes land hardest at the peak of kind of tension. Yeah. They're the last ones to get out of Hoth alive in the Millennium Falcon, and C-3PO, the door closes on him and he's just oh, typical.
I did the same thing with the toolbox that falls on Han when he's in the hole, and you hear him go, Chewie!
Yeah.
And they probably stole that Chewie from another ADR line. They just threw it in there. Gets me every single time. But Luke Skywalker was our avatar in the first film. He was our guide into that whole world.
That's why Mark Hamill is such a great casting choice, because he's so boyish.
There was an innocence, there's a boyishness to it. So of course I'm I'm going to be Luke Skywalker. Yeah. To see him get fucked up constantly.
This is more his coming of age film than the first one, because he has all that, Dagobah. He has that whole sequence of Jedi training, which combines mental and physical therapy
where
in a
the
really
X-Wing
interesting
goes
way.
down, but isn't out.
Even the whole idea of training to be a good Jedi is about confronting the deepest, darkest parts of your fears.
Like when he gets
the Darth Vader thing, and then sees his own face in the mask of Vader. The only way to accede to our highest heights is to be able to descend to our lowest lows and be able to handle that and control that.
And when everyone splits off,
we follow Han and Leia in the Millennium Falcon, and
Luke goes off on his Jedi adventure
things with Yoda and my congestion. Sorry.
Just do this.
Ladies, don't do that.
Yes, do it now. Just get it. I'm going to put a spittoon sound effect in there. It's going to be great.
I wish Leia was given a little bit more to do, I have to say. We get a lot of her being a badass princess at the beginning, telling people what to do, but then after that, she's a little bit...
She goes a little more in the damsel
slightly.
Where she was in
where
the
she's
first
just
film.
kind of... She's still her characterization is still very badass, but she doesn't do that much. Han is coming up with all the things to... And it's always when his back's against the wall.
He is...
At the highest pressure points, at his lowest down ebb, he's able to think outside the box and get them out of situations.
The problem, though, is that everything breaks down throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Every time it's, watch this. Wah, wah, wah,
There's
wah,
only
wah. Let
so
me go into this hole.
You can
wah,
fly.
Wah, wah, wah. It becomes almost like what Todd Phillips did between Joker and Joker
Folie à
Deux.
I love that movie.
I do too. I think you can only appreciate that movie as something where you can see it as a deconstruction.
Well, the first film is about someone going down, getting up, and the second one is about someone up, going down. So that's why people didn't like it. I loved it. And that's why I love Empire, because it is, like you said.
As much as we want to relate to these larger than life characters, which is definitely what the first films are, even though that they all fit in the paradigm. You have the pirate, you have the young innocent boy, you have the princess, the damsel in distress, and all the the peripheral characters in between. When you fall in love with characters like that so much, it's almost like the filmmakers, like the storytellers, are going, but they are real people and they do bleed. The Wampa scratches Luke's
arm.
face.
I've only ever known it to be gory as
You've
fuck.
only seen the
where he gets up with the blood.
None of that was in there. So
As a
that
child,
drool was,
tells you something about myself. Always felt kind of bad for the Wampa.
he was just eating.
He just wanted
He
a
just
snack.
wanted lunch.
Yeah.
That guy looked delicious.
He's kind of cute, just with his little, I don't know, I identified with the Wampa. And he was like,
nom.
Reminded me of myself a little bit.
When chicken wings are around, that's exactly what Becca looks like.
From the age of 5 to 30, at 90, I'll still be nom, 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 grease and blood just hanging.
Visceral, viscera.
Oh, I'd love it.
I think the first movie was made by a 20-year-old who's still filled with like piss and vinegar and ready to take on the world. The second one is made by a 30-year-old who's now realizing, oh shit, wow, I could die. Like that's real life is looming at me.
And by first, second, third, you're talking about 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, sorry, 4, 5, and 6. By the time we get to Jedi, I feel like that's where that 30-year-old is about to have kids. When someone's in their 40s, all they want to do is talk politics, and that's what the prequels were. It's just the old man at the end of the table who's just like, let me tell you about these tariffs. This is the movie that made you fall in love with these characters.
Yeah, well,
the
because
first one is
you
about
have
the
to see them
caricatures.
vulnerable.
Yes.
You have to see them naked, like in portraits, in order to see them for who they truly are. At the very end, when Han is put into deep freeze, when Chewie freaks out, when Han is about to be put in the deep freeze,
Into the carbonite.
Han is the one that tells him to stop and look after Leia, that this isn't the moment to fight. There will be another, and he's telling the audience there's going to be a third film. He literally is saying like, there will be a day to fight.
If you buy tickets, there will be a third film. That's what they're saying.
He's saying like, stay down, basically, like it to the theme. If you stay down now, then we won't be out of this fight entirely. The same thing that Yoda and Obi-Wan try to say to Luke, like, stay down now so that we won't be out entirely. You have to have days where you stay down in order to win overall, which is a really great lesson.
It is the balance of life. And this is something that, again, I would not have learned at an early age if it wasn't for this movie.
That's why it's so rewarding when you start the third film and they're all like guns up blazing.
Yeah, everything is like, we're ready to fucking
Yeah.
rock. One of the reasons why Han was put into carbonite was that Harrison Ford kept complaining about how he didn't want to be in the third movie. So they were like, all right, well, we're going to put you in deep freeze. With the idea that if he didn't come back for the third movie, he was out. Like that carbonite is forever. So smart of Lucas to come up with something that if he wanted to push all those little bleep bloop buttons on the side that, you know, every kid wanted to push those red and blue buttons on the side of the fucking carbonite. If he wanted to push it, he comes back. Then we have this, you know, epic showdown.
Yes.
Which feels like
Good versus evil.
if you didn't know that was going to be the third movie, like the final movie, right? That feels really epic. That feels like a truly climactic fight.
Yeah.
That where I thought at the time, all right, Darth Vader, he's fine. Because in the first movie, they are separated by space. You know, they're separated by spaceships.
Well, this is their first real meeting.
The way that Kirshner stages it feels like this is the end of, you know, a huge 30s swashbuckler, and, you know, you should expect the credits to roll and everybody walks out and that's it. And when the revelation of the relation connection is made, Luke drops himself.
Yes.
There is a moment where, you know, the Force is kicking in, so he must have known that there's probably some rickety old antenna looking thing that he can grab onto.
I think in a child's estimation, it feels like an unhappy ending. The reason it feels like it ends on a downbeat, but it's actually a happy ending, is because it's teaching you to be true to yourself.
Yes.
And that sometimes you need to sacrifice the day. It's the same moral journey that Lando goes on himself. Like, he tries to make a deal for himself, and he knows that he's betraying not only his friends but himself, and he finally comes back around again. Once you start thinking you can make some kind of a deal with the dark side, you realize that it's just a never-ending hole. There is no end to how far down that hole goes. Going back to our previous episode on There Will Be Blood. So
go up a couple episodes.
Yeah. The moment that Luke declines Darth Vader's offer and takes death for all intent. In that
Death over
moment,
Darth.
I still remember being a 5-year-old, and when he first falls, I was for a moment. I still remember my little 5-year-old brain being like,
No,
"Did Luke just die?"
this was my little avatar, dude.
Well, if he is your avatar, then you should have actually been really proud of him. I can understand why he weren't, but like
I was devastated.
this offer of the dark side, the easy way out that Obi-Wan and Yoda were so scared he was going to take by going before he was ready, he proves he actually was ready because he takes the the much more difficult way out of that situation, loses the battle in order to win the war, which is, the war, the ongoing war. We always have the struggle with ourselves.
But it wasn't like I was some kind of box office prognosticator
No,
back then,
I know.
there's going to be a third movie because the box office is boffo.
But I think that's a great lesson, even subliminally, to start teaching a kid, is that like, as long as you stay true to yourself and, not ever give in to the dark side, no matter how tempting it might be, Luke makes that harder choice and stays true to himself. It's like, that's actually, it makes it a happy ending at the end of the day.
True. And what I'm glad about is watching this again, and we say this before, say this all the time. It's so nice to be able to rewatch a lot of these movies with this different kind of thematic purview. So to be able to watch this and see how almost every character that we care about, almost every character that's been given an action figure in the Kenner line back in the day gets challenged, gets tested, gets decimated. Everybody gets deconstructed. Literally, C-3PO is ripped to pieces. It was only like a year later that I remember, and I'm not going to get too deep here, but do you remember the first time that you thought about when you were going to die or that people die? I think it was 5. And I remember looking at the wall of my bedroom and going, we're going to die.
Oh my God, that actually did just trigger a memory because I do remember my sister around that age telling me that. And my reaction was to burst into tears and say that she was lying to me and that she'd seen too many movies. Because I thought death was a movie thing.
See?
Like a fabrication in film worlds.
And that you were going to live forever.
I didn't think it was real. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that realization that
That's so funny, yeah.
time is finite and we will all die.
It's really hard to
and
understand
when you see
as a
your
child.
heroes and your avatars put through that as well, it eases the pain a little bit. So all I can say to this is thank you, George Lucas, for the life and death lessons, courtesy of Empire Strikes Back. And there you go. I'm going to call
Last call!
the last call. Would you say that these were good picks for the films, and was the order correct?
I think we interpreted the theme radically differently, and I don't know that these two films belong together.
These two movies, again, the joke is you would never see these two movies.
Yeah, I think I'd sooner watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire with something more to do with what that theme is, something like Eyes Wide Shut. I'd love to see Empire Strikes Back, maybe with Das Boot, actually, a little bit more like testing the brotherhood of like your own self.
As a double feature, like alternate, was Michael Mann's The Keep?
Yeah, that's all right.
And from like a visual standpoint and a thematic standpoint, I think it fits. I think they just
it fits better than these two. I don't think these two fit together very well.
So we'll say that good movies, great discovery.
I think it was maybe
not a great double feature.
Yes, I don't think they were a good double feature, but I loved watching them.
I would not have. Sadly, I don't think I would have had a better excuse to watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which
One
I think
does not
is
need an excuse.
Look, sometimes it's.
I'm sure I would have
with our chalkboard list of all the movies that we have to see.
So thank you, Brian, for the suggestion. Yes. It was a great way to think about. Like, it's also just a great example of what this show is all about. How two people can take one thing and turn it into very different movie selections,
but in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And to anyone else who has a suggestion for a theme, leave a comment down below. While you're doing that, like and subscribe as you have to do.
Brian, let us know when your gift arrives.
So Brian, we will reach out to you and we will get that all sorted out. You can follow us on all the various platforms, like our Instagram for the show, also our Instagram for And I love how we fondle our handles. We handle our handles. Again, thank you so much to DiabolikDVD.com for sponsoring this episode. If you're like, oh God, I would love to hear what other movies that they talk about, go to the Letterboxd account that's under mine, and you can read all of the movies that we talk about. And as of right now, there's almost 300 movies that we've talked about.
We talk movies lots.
We talk a lot.
And we don't actually require the Sorting Hat services this week.
But I was going to...
Get it out of here. Bye-bye, Mr. Hat. Next week is our New Year's Eve special. So we have pre-selected, as it comes but once a year, New Year, New You as the... theme.
Yeah, you know what? That's going to be really exciting. We're starting that episode will drop at the first of the year.
There's so many great New Year's movies out there. So even just New Year, New You, there's a million different ways.
Knowing us, it's going to be something wildly not what you're expecting. It's not going to be New Year evil.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, without further ado.
Yes, I knew this was coming in my drug-addled Advil brain.
You should know this is coming.
Yeah, but, okay, the fog of sickness.
The fog of war.
Look through it. Movies are the only marathon worth participating in, and they're what date nights are made for.
Okay, now do it with passion.
No, that's all you get.
No!
This time. I'm sick.
Fine.
Cheers! I'm going to bed.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.